buckle up. This is big. It feels like revealing kind of like part of my secret journal or something, like a little bit of my life. You now know what I'm using specifically to educate my children. Hey, welcome back to The Commonplace. I'm Autumn, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. Usually I'm making videos to match the podcast principle that we're on, but actually what I've been hearing on Instagram and the like is that what would really be helpful to a lot of people in the Commonplace audience would be to share in real time how I'm preparing for my first formal year of school this fall. So my oldest will be a Form 1B student, if you're familiar at all with Mason's years, and it's a summer of pre-reading and planning and learning and digging in to take that philosophy and pedagogy that we love to talk about and make it really practical and doable. And so here at Common Mom, what we're gonna do is I'm going to start sharing those behind the scenes, what I'm doing in real time. It's a little bit different because I usually like to talk about things that I've been thinking about for at least a couple months, if not a couple years. And this is stuff I'm doing right now. So it's gonna be a little bit different, a little more like, hey, here's how I'm trying it. I'll let you know how it goes. And in order to do that though, because a lot of my planning revolves around my curriculum pick, the first video in this ongoing series, I suppose, is going to be about my curriculum and why I chose it. So about a year ago, I, like many others, was planning on using Ambleside Online. I think AO is great. It's obviously a fortress in the Charlotte Mason world. They are to be credited with keeping Mason alive through the 21st century, for sure. Bringing her back, making her practical, sharing her with homeschool moms who have protected the tradition and carried it on. And so I think it really was just about a year ago that I discovered on YouTube through someone else, the CMEC, which is the Charlotte Mason Education Center. And she was talking about it, she was excited, and I was like, I don't know what this is. I've actually never even heard of this. So today what I want to do is talk about the 3 reasons how we chose the CMEC out of all the options, particularly when we compared it to AO, and it kind of gives some light to that because the CMEC is actually kind of hard to figure out. Most of their information is behind their paywall because there is a family fee, so just a single fee per family, not per child, and everything is kind of kept behind that wall. They do have an informational packet which you can request, and it's wonderful. It's very helpful, but you're still kind of like, well, what does it look like? Like, I can't really see anything behind this wall. And so the first reason why we chose it is that they follow very closely the PNEU and Mason. At this point, if you ask me, why does the CMEC do something in this year when AO or another curriculum might do it in this year? I would say probably it's because that's how the PNEU did it. They have taken what they need to adjust it for American students. I think they're probably their primary base is in America, although they do have different resources for Canada and other places, so I know it's international, but they will follow as Mason ordered things for her schools. And there's a reason for that. Of course, Mason was building upon things. She wanted ideas introduced at a certain time. She wanted to cultivate a love of country early on in younger students. She understood the development of a child, that at this age, their narrations need to be drawn. By this point, you can work on composition. And so they structure their years around that. Now they also have something called the common subjects, and these are things that your entire family would do. So if you have a lot of kids at one time, the CMEC is great for large families because you can simplify by combining books, by combining times, and then by doing your common subjects together and then allowing your students to dive in or take in what's appropriate for their age and what they're working on. So the first thing is just that commitment to what the PNEU actually did and by laying it out. One super fun thing about that is that within their resources, which is actually going to lead into number 2, they hyperlink to a lot of the PNEU articles that they pull from. So you right there as the mom can see it, you can trust it, you can understand it, and then you can implement it. And I think that's really important. A lot of times when you look at curriculum, particularly ones that are online and they're not open and go, they do require you to do more work. What you get is just like a single book list. And it's something like, hey, here's everything you need to read. Here's maybe how you could break it down by week, but other than that, you're on your own, have fun. And I like that to a certain degree because I like having the ability to decide and choose and plan how best fits our family and also based on what I know about the larger classical tradition. However, it can also be very overwhelming for a new mom, right? You're just handed a book and then you think, okay, I have the Burgess Bird book. What do I do with it now? Like, how do I actually teach something from this? And so reason number 2 for choosing the CMEC was that they provide excellent program resources. Now, I want to make it very clear, this is not an open and go curriculum. You cannot expect your hand to be held. There's much work for you to do as the mother teacher, and I think that's really good. But they do seek to equip the mother teacher so that she is an effective guide, philosopher, and friend in her home. So there are 2 resources I want to focus on, although there are many more than 2 behind that wall. The first is the program guide. So you have your different forms depending on the age of your student. The first is Form 1B. That confuses you because it's followed by Form 1A. Just remember that B is for beginner, A is for advanced. So when you start in Form 1, and this is for every form, but I'm particularly in Form 1 right now, you are given a program guide, which lays out the shopping list for everything you need for the year, which was hugely helpful. And then second, it goes through and it tells you things like a sample timetable, how Mason might have ordered this. It also tells you how long you should spend on each topic or subject. So you'll see that, for this, we do it 1 time a week for 20 minutes. For this, we do it 2 times a week for 10 minutes, whatever it is, so that you can start to map out and figure out how to best serve your students. And then in the program guide, it goes through subject by subject. It talks about how to engage with the book that you're using. It offers supplemental resources if you'd like to add in something or change something. In many of them, it gives you a sample lesson. Here's how you would recap. These are the types of good questions you would ask in order to engage your child in discussion. Here's when they should narrate. Maybe if they're really young, they should narrate after every paragraph for this book. If they seem to be doing well, extend that reading time. They give you notes like go through your book and annotate where you think a good stopping point might be based on the idea. So they will not tell you here's how to teach this lesson, because that turns much of Mason or the classical tradition into a system, like follow this, get this outcome, and that's just not what it is. But they will show you the why and the how behind what you're doing. And I think that is something that's missing from other curriculum programs, and it was a huge reason why I wanted to go with the CMEC once I started to click that that's how they structured their program guides. The second thing is the form itself. So within each form, you have a number of families, and there are 2 really neat things about this. The first is that there's a form leader for every form. So you can email this woman if you have a question about your form at all. Struggling with a book, not understanding why your kid's not connecting something, not able to implement something that you need on your timetable, you have access to a form leader who knows your form, knows your materials, knows what you were working on that year, and will email you back an answer, which is wonderful. The second thing is that you also have regular form meetings. So you hop on a call with all the other women in your form, and you're able to troubleshoot, listen to advice, input, resources, new things you should look at, and be encouraged with moms who are doing the same thing you are in a very constructive environment. It's not Instagram 10 seconds, here's this little reel of how I'm doing something, and it's not a bunch of moms who are trying to get together, but none of them are using the same curriculum, so you're trying to figure out what to do together. It's everyone working on the same thing, and then how you might just implement and teach better in your home. And I love those 2 things. Also, I want to add within the program guides, they do, like I said, hyperlink to all the PNEU articles. You need to know that they have an insane amount of PNEU articles, like access to them where I can't find them anywhere else. I've wanted to share an article that I have read through the CMEC, through something they've sent out, and it just doesn't exist on the internet. Like someone hasn't typed it up on another website, or you just can't find it, and somehow they have access to it. And so the amount of material that you have also straight from the PNEU schools is amazing. I've been saying PNEU articles. I meant the parents' review. I've been saying PNEU this whole video, and I meant parents' review. It's the parents' review articles, which you know because you are such a good Mason mother teacher. So within the program guides, like I mentioned, they hyperlink all of their parents' review articles, which are of course about the PNEU, about Mason philosophy, how you can implement it, what you can learn from it. I have entire sections printed in my binder that I've been working through for this summer, where they're just, 7 to 10 articles just about narration. 5 to 10 just about nature study. Here's how you cultivate a love of nature. Here's how you actually do nature study. And it's just to equip the mother teacher to be the best mother that she can, and the best teacher that she can. And it's hard to find that elsewhere. It really is. And so I think that's a tremendous resource that they have. And then the third thing, another angle of their resources, is that they continue to work on mother's education. So they have the mother's education course. They also have monthly discussion questions. Again, you can ask questions of the form. You can start local groups. There's a board so you can find people in your geographic area as well. You maybe read a book together, whatever. But I love that they spend a lot of time and energy making sure that mothers have a handle on the philosophy and the pedagogy. Again, they're not going to tell you exactly what to do, but they are going to give you the ability to continue to cultivate yourself so that you can continue to grow as your children continue to grow. And I think that is so necessary. If you've been around the Commonplace, whether on the podcast or here, you know that I do think moms need to continue to cultivate themselves as women and as mother teachers. And I think that this unique resource within the CMEC is honestly worth the entrance fee on its own. And I'm excited to continue to share about that as we go through this year. I've just registered for this year's mother education course, which will run, I think it's, between 8 or 9 months. It's basically the whole school year, and kind of report back on what that's like, because I expect it to be wonderful based on everything else that I've looked at, because the archives are, of course, on their website behind the member wall, and you can go through and watch old form meetings, old parents' night videos and teachings, different things like that, and just continue to learn from the stuff that's already been posted as well. So if you've not heard of the CMEC, if you've not considered it, please do. Leave any questions you have down below. I'll do my best to try and answer them as a very new member of the CMEC, and I just cannot recommend it enough. I'm very excited, and from what I've heard from everyone else that I've convinced to join the CMEC so far, is that once they dove into the guides, into the old videos, the summer planning, there's a summer planning course so that you can actually really get prepared. They show you how to prepare, how to combine things if you have a lot of kids, like I said. Anyone that I've talked to that I've convinced to come on over is like, this is incredible. I feel like I have a firm foundation that I am jumping from into this school year. I'm not just sitting here like, well, okay, I have all these books, but how do I connect it? How do I bring Mason's ideas to life? It's there. They will equip you. And so, yeah, I cannot recommend it more than I just did. You now know what I'm using specifically to educate my children.